As you know, we have designated weekends for programs at the History Center on Sundays, and they're also videotaped on our website. So this is our opening for today. Then on October 15th, we have the Black Powder Guns and Muzzle Loading by Robert Walker. On the 28th of October is a Saturday, and that's our Harbor Haunts at the Maritime Museum. With all of our groups have been associated with this and participate. So if any of you would like to help us out at this event, that's going to. We will have the History Center will have a table for the Harbor Haunts. And then October 29th, very special presentation, archaeology and collectors. So our own David Kronsky and Pam Stranahan will be speakers for that event. And then November 3rd, a very special day, is Arbor Day at Magnolia Park. And then again, we will have the announcement when we're going to open our Christmas exhibit. So again, I would like to personally thank again all of our board members that have been so actively involved this year, excluding myself, Pam, Melinda, David, and then Joe Fox, Melanie Conorak, Melissa White, Eric Cohen, and Leslie Albright are our new board members, and we welcome them and appreciate everything that they have done. At this time, I would like to introduce our speaker, Wayne White, author, explorer, author of the book Cold, someone that has spent 3 winters at the South Pole, and he made it back alive. Live and in color, Wayne White.
Fantastic to be here today. I want to introduce my lovely wife, Melissa White. She'll be denying that by the end of this presentation, I'm sure, but she has a much more dangerous position than I do as an explorer, as she's a 4th grade teacher at Sacred Heart Elementary School. Teachers are great. I was thrilled when Pam first mentioned the opportunity to speak for this new exhibit, collectors, their collections, because I've been a lifelong collector and I wanted to see what other people locally were doing with their collecting. And quite frankly, folks, I was shocked. When I walked in here to put my little exhibit together, I was shocked at the quality of these exhibits and the kind of things that people collect. Now, come on. Who doesn't have the aunt? I won't say crazy aunt, but she collects frogs. And so every time you see her, you got to give her a frog or a penguin. Come on, everybody's got one. Or a dog, a little ceramic dog, or something. You know, and then whether they want them or not anymore after the first 1,000, they still keep coming. Everybody knows somebody like that. But collectors are an interesting bunch of people. And I've been collecting since I was a young kid. I collected this fossil when I was about 10 years old, which was just a few years, actually it was a lifetime ago. But I used to collect fossils as a kid. And here I was in the Midwest, climbing through people's driveways, looking for these fossils, these limestone fossils. And I remember finding this when I was about 10 years old. So I've been collecting a long time. But I want to talk first off, before I do a little show and tell thing, I want to talk first off about just collecting and what that's all about, because it's an interesting thing. How many people here collect something or other? See, most everybody, or has sometime in their life, they've collected things. I had a friend of mine once years ago that was a hardcore biker. I mean, he had his Harley. He rode a Harley Davidson. He was a rough-looking guy, a rough dude. He was a Army. I think he was a Vietnam veteran, and great friend, and just a real tough fellow. And he told me once, he said, Wayne, you know, I've never seen people more ruthless than when I attended a stamp collectors convention. That took ruthlessness up to a new level for this guy, who was, like I say, a hardcore biker. So collectors can get, it's just a kind of an amazing thing. It's something what happens when you're collecting and you're trying to, finish up a collection, and you've got things that you're really looking for and such, and all of a sudden you find that thing. And I want to talk a little bit about the collecting process now, what's happened through the years. Years ago, I was going to bring a couple things. I got enough, but I was going to bring a couple of things and kind of show you something that's happened in our new world with collecting. Many years ago, I was walking through Zululand in South Africa. It was a 120-mile walk I did by myself through Zululand. And what I really wanted was to collect some Zulu artifacts. The Zulus were incredible warriors. Some of you have seen the movie Zulu or Zulu Dawn and how they fought the British at Ascendawana and Rorke Strip. Terrifically tough people, they really are. I wanted a Zulu stabbing spear, an assegai. So I'm walking around going, hey, anybody got an assegai for sale, in Zululand? Well, that's, in this world, that's not where you would collect a good, a real world-class, old assegai. Those things have long been in the collections in England, many in England, Germany, places like that, in the United States. Not in Zululand. That'd be the last place you'd go. These days, a lot of collecting is done on the internet. And let me tell you, I have something I didn't bring today, but I got a crocodile bone knife. It's from the jawbone of a crocodile that I picked up in New Guinea on an expedition I did 2 months, about a month or a little bit over a month long, from the interior all the way to the coast. And I did that myself with just native people carrying my stuff. And I was in the villages collecting these things, bringing tons of stuff out. Not tons, but because I couldn't carry that much, but arrows and spears and shields and stuff like that as we went south and tried to make it to the coast. And I was really looking for is one of these crocodile bone knives. Now I got 2 of them. And one of them's at an auction that'll be auctioned in the next month up in San Antonio. The other one I've kept. And the fact is that those are museum pieces. You'd never find them in place, but I did. But I was in the middle of nowhere for a month in a very dangerous place. Snakes, crocodiles, swamps, mountains, all the things I really like. But nonetheless, I got that. But what I'm really leading up to here is I've been on internet auctions where my blood is racing just as much as it did trying to find that crocodile bone knife all those years ago, where you know what I'm talking about. Any of you that have done that, you really wanted something at one of these auctions or a live auction somewhere, maybe in Europe, Germany, or I like to use the Vote auctions up in San Antonio. Is a really good one. But you're waiting to push that button, and it's like you might as well be in Las Vegas, on a machine or something. And there's a real interesting mentality that comes with that, or way of thinking. Palms are sweating. A funny story. Years ago, I was working in Afghanistan, and the connectivity was low, but I was able to get on like an auction in Europe. And I'm back in the rear at this time, back at Camp Hicks in Kandahar. And I got my thing set up in the middle of the night, and all it was a little .22 rifle, but it had been used on an Arctic expedition. And I didn't really want it, but it was used on an expedition, a little .22 rifle, maybe if it isn't very much. And it got to the point to where it showed up, and it was like $800, and then there'd be a buyer's premium on top of that, and it's just a little .22 bolt-action rifle. So I thought, no. And then at the last second, I thought, what the hell? And I pushed the button. Right when I pushed the button, it changed to the next item. And for a while, I was the proud owner of a $20,000 Czechoslovakian anti-aircraft rifle. Let me tell you, they heard the yell all the way from Camp Hicks to wherever that auction was. No, no, and oh my God, thank God someone outbid me on that one, because that was going to be a problem. I'm just saying, though, that in this world, it's amazing what the internet has done as far as collecting. And I did mention, I own the old Baylor, my wife and I own the old Baylor Norville house on Water Street. When I bought that house many years ago, when I first walked into it, just to look at it, Jackie Shaw was my realtor. And Jackie's a wonderful person, and took me in there, and it's an odd house for most people that are looking for contemporary type, houses the way it's made, 1868 and all. It's not built. So most people probably walk through it and go, oh my God, how would you live in here? What would you do? I didn't see it that way. I saw it like an artist would see a blank easel. I saw those tall ceilings, the tall walls, and I saw that beautiful old wooden floor from 1860s. And that's how I saw it. It's like, oh my God. I don't think my lovely wife saw it the same way. She was a little more standard in her housing desires, but I did. And since that time, I put my collection there, and I collect mostly tribal, ethnic, exploration type artifacts. all different types of things that I brought back or I've gotten from other collectors and things, but many of the things I picked up in place: spears, arrows, shields, knives, some old guns, a few. I'm not super into it, but a few. And a few premium pieces. This little ring here, anybody, if you know who Henry Morton Stanley was? Henry Morton Stanley crossed Africa a couple of times in the 1800s. He was the one that uttered the famous words, Dr. Livingstone, I presume, after he found Dr. Livingstone in Uiji, in what's now, I think, Tanzania. He's a very famous British explorer. This was his ring. This ring, if you read it, commemorates his 1874-1877 Trans-Africa expedition. So he wore this at one time, the great explorer. So, I have a few pieces, a few things like that Dr. Livingstone have to do with Dr. Livingstone, for example, and these people that I hold in very, very high regard. Now, what I'm really leading up to here is something that most collectors will learn at some point in their life, too, is that there's a house full of stuff, and all the passion it took to put the collection together. The day comes when, as I'd like to say, we don't own anything anyway. Not really. We're simply stewards. We're simply stewards of these collections that we have. We have them for so long, and then this guy that spent his whole life, he's got this, everybody probably knows one of these guys too, a taxidermy thing, his whole house looks like a zoo. The day will come when they're pulling out piece by piece and selling it off, and it's in someone else's house. It's good to kind of come to that realization, and I have, and it's easier for me to start to part with things now that I'm getting older, and I've got to just make some room. So I think that's an important thing that collectors, hopefully will learn, that we really don't own anything. We're stewards, and the day comes you won't own it anymore. But at least for this time you protected it, and that's a good thing. Rather than it sat in the junk pile somewhere or whatever, you protected it. So collectors, collections, something I've done for many years. Okay. The other thing I learned, though, is because I realized you don't really own things. So in my house, I do display it. Now, I had a friend many years ago. I'm not being too long, am I? Doing okay? I'm almost done. Okay. He collected Civil War memorabilia, and he takes me to the back of his house, and he opens his closet, and he starts pulling this fabulous stuff out. Old rifles, old medals and things that were absolutely, world-class Civil War stuff. But they're all in a closet, all in the back of the house. And he was thrilled to bring it out for me, I'm sure, bring it out and then let me, see his collection. But it's in a closet in the back of the house. It should be displayed. When you go to my house, there's not much in closets. It's mostly all displayed. It's on walls. It's all over the place. It's an intense experience when you walk in there and you see all this stuff. So to share this stuff, to share it, I think is important. So one thing that I've done is from time to time I've come to my lovely wife's class here and in other places that we've lived prior to this, visited her class, talked to her kids, and bring a few things and have some fun with them. I love kids, never had any. I love your kids are great. You keep your kids. I have cats, a lot of cats. But the kids are great. They have, as you all know, we've all been kids. When anything's possible as a kid, right? Anything's possible. And I try to keep that mentality in my mind the best I can. You can be an older now, but so you go to the classroom, see the kids, and I like to do this thing. It's what's in the bag. A kid, they can think. They can come up with about anything that's in the bag. But then I'll throw kinks in it, and I'll say, okay, what's in the bag? I said, and they throw a few things out. I go, nah. How about a wolf? Is there a wolf in the bag? How the hell do you put a wolf in that bag, right? How do you do that? Well, you can't. You can't put a wolf in the bag. Here. He's mostly there. Okay, that's a wolf. It's a beautiful wolf, and believe me, I'm not a hunter of wolves, although I wore wolf skins at the South Pole. They were Siberian wolves, and if you've read anything about the Siberian wolves and what they're doing in villages in Russia, it isn't bad to take a few of them out. There's a wolf, so if there was a wolf in the bag. So right then, you get their attention. Oh my God, what else is in there? So what about a crocodile? Could there be a crocodile in the bag? It's nearly big enough. A crocodile. Well, maybe you can't put the whole crocodile in. You can't put the whole crocodile in, but you can put the head of one. This is a New Guinea crocodile, saltwater crocodile. Been around a little bit, you see, but it's actually from New Guinea, saltwater version. There was a crocodile in the bag, right? All right, last, I'll say what else is in there. By this point, the kids are thinking, oh God, what's next? So how about a snake? Could it be a snake? Well, the bag isn't moving, So, you know, can't be a snake in there. I said, what about an anaconda? What's the biggest snake in the world? You guys know? The anaconda. What if I said there's a 22-foot anaconda in there? Could there be? Is it possible? Is it possible?
Yes.
You've already seen this, so it's possible, right? All right, how about this? Is anybody really afraid of snakes? Watch it out now. It's a big snake, huh? That is a big snake. Now I didn't collect this. It's a heck of an anaconda, but I got it from a collection, and it was supposedly from Peru in about 1920s or something like that. That's a big snake. That's a big snake. I think around 21, 22-foot anaconda from Peru in the early turns of the century. Okay, anything's possible, right? Now I'm going to leave you with one last thought. It's a little bit of a story, but I think it's worth your time. Many years ago, I was out in the jungles in New Guinea, and I had a guy who comes to me, and he's real secretive. He wants me away from everybody. He wants to sell me this thing. And he's got this little bag, little woven bag, and the bag has it's hanging from it like little rat tails and little jaws of animals and little things. It's like a little fetish bag. It's a strange little bag. And as we're sitting there close, he takes this thing out really, didn't want anybody to see it. And it's this rock, kind of a rock thing. It's not real round. It's kind of got angles, but it's a rock. Odd looking thing, very smooth. And he wants to sell me the rock. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And he says, no, the rock, he speaks tribal language. I can only speak a few words. I know how to say pig in tribe because we ate them. And a few other things. But I could speak Indonesian. He could speak some Indonesian, but my Indonesian wasn't good enough to get into a magic rock and what it was. But what I got out of it was the rock had power. It had power. And he said the one thing to remember about it was no one could ever see it. Don't ever show it to anybody. Don't ever show it to anybody. It has power, but you can't show it to anybody. So that gives you a lot of instruction on what to do with it. Well, okay, I got a rock of power. I had it out in my house. And I took it out a few times. But one time, I had a little cat named Mary, who my lovely wife took in with a litter of other cats. And Mary had problems from the start. 2 of them out of the 5, 3 of them had problems. One died right away. Little kittens, kept in some horrible conditions in this house, this hoarder's house, kept in terrible conditions. They bring them to Melissa. Melissa's got them. One dies the first night. The 2 are 50-50. She takes them to the vet. She gets a little infusion shots, 50-50. Mary makes it, little Mary makes it, but she's blind in one eye. She's got other problems and things, problems with her teeth and things, a few problems. She grows up, and then when she's, I don't know how old, in a year or so, she's got this terrible limp. We take her to the vet, and the vet's prognosis is not good. The vet just says, this could be something pretty lethal. Bring her back in a couple of months. We'll look at it and see if this has grown. They took the x-rays and stuff. I love that little cat, and I took it home. Right before it was time to go back, I took that rock out. And I rubbed that rock on her, and I said the closest thing I could to a prayer and said, please God, or whatever you are, save this cat, this little cat. Never hurt anybody, except maybe a bug. Never hurt anybody. Please save this cat. Rubbed it all over. A day came in. Our neighbor who works at a veterinary's office took the cat to the vet. The cat in my little pink carrying case. And I'll tell you, I sweated it that day waiting for the prognosis of what was going to happen to Mary. And I was thrilled. I get this call. Mary's fine. They took the x-ray. She's fine. Nothing lethal's going on. She's going to be fine. I was so happy. I went home. My friend then delivered Mary to me and stops in front of the house. I'm so happy. I take the little pink carrying case out, and I'm carrying her into the house. Get in the house. I'm going to let her go in there. And then my friend, my neighbor too, just drives away. And just about the time in the house, and I'm just starting to unzip that case to get Mary out, and I'm so happy. My neighbor calls and says, I just ran over and killed Lillian. Okay, chances, whatever, just luck, whatever, we'll call it lucky. But I saved one, the other one's dead. Pure coincidence? Maybe, I don't know. But what I'm going to say is maybe there's things you shouldn't collect. Okay, with that, thank you very much, folks. Okay, thanks, Wayne.
Okay, at this time, as we wrap up, we're going to open the exhibit, and we would ask that all the exhibitors that are here this morning would please go stand by your exhibits. We're going to have some refreshments will be on the tables out here for anyone that would like them. And again, on behalf of the Friends of the History Center, we thank you for your time this morning, and please enjoy our new exhibit. Like that? You got it. I'm so glad I didn't run up on this thing. Yeah. It is. I know it. Yeah. Charlie, you want to see? You want to touch it? Big enough, but I think it was a python. Probably a python. Oh yeah. Just stick it over there. Yeah. It's amazing.
Crazy.
Steve Ferguson. How are you? Good to see you again.
Hard to stop that stink out, isn't it?
That really is
It's like a
something.
magician.
Yeah.
You ought to see his house.
That's
We go over there. It's like walking around in Africa.
I bet so. Wow.
I've never seen him. He comes to our breakfast every Friday morning. We were like, Dad, you come too. The mayor comes. Mayor Rockport comes. He's the brown shirt.
Yeah. Right.
And Turf, he's kind of our headmaster, Mr. Felt, the brown hat here. He's a collector. His house is full.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
He brought some stuff. He doesn't let his out much.
Yeah. But is it? Yeah. That's
Have you ever
interesting.
met Tim Hero? He's the mayor.
No, I haven't.
He's